I wouldn't be scared to pay that extra for that experienced lawyer now, because I think it comes back in bucket loads. Paying that extra just takes so much off your shoulders.
Yeah, and then you get somebody with batteries included.
Exactly, yeah, they can just go.
I would like to welcome the fabulous Emma Heuston, who is known as the remote expert. So welcome, Emma.
Hello.
Fab to have you here. So Emma is based in, now it's Byron Bay, or is it Ballina?
I'm in Ballina, but we're about 20 minutes from Byron Bay.
Yes, okay, in New South Wales in Australia. And Emma specialises in helping sort of entrepreneurial online business owners, or at least did last time we spoke. So I'm really interested in learning how that's evolved, if it has, and sort of where you're at now. And then I know Emma quite well. Emma has been a customer of mine. You've also done some legal work for me. You've also helped do some coaching and scale up. We've sort of worked together in a few different capacities, haven't we? So yeah, so awesome to have you talking to us again here today. So big question first, can you tell us a bit about your firm's mission and vision?
Our mission is to help female entrepreneurs grow their business with confidence. And that's been a journey I've been on, and that's a niche that's really sort of dear to my heart and my core values. And particularly when you look at, say, bigger firms with harbour views, it's not necessarily accessible to someone starting out or in the first, say, 3 to 5 years of business, which is where we sit with a lot of our clients. And that core value is to be, accessible pathways. And we've looked at that pretty carefully, and we've got 2 pathways. We've got a legal information section, which is templates on our website. And then we've got our probably more traditional customized legal services that we help people with as well. And that's been, an interesting journey to get that pathway just right. And it's ever evolving.
And so you mentioned, one of your core values is accessibility, which is so key, and it's something that I think, entrepreneurial lawyers like you often have that in common. What are your other core values in your firm?
Authenticity is another value, just to be real, to speak to clients and in correspondence as I would in real life to someone. And for someone to understand. And that follows through into our social media. I put a social media post up about a new defamation case in Australia around Facebook over the weekend. And I actually had a social media manager say, this is actually the first time I've understood what it meant. So for that kind of feedback is really gold. And that's what we strive for in all aspects of what we do.
And so when it comes to sort of being an authentic person and voice in the legal industry, do you find, a lot of lawyers find that very challenging in terms of sort of putting themselves out there. How do you find that? And I guess it's been a bit of a journey for you.
It has. It's been a bit, I always felt like a bit like a square peg in a round hole in a law firm. And it was a journey away from traditional law from family law when I started 21 years ago. 21 years next week, I've been a lawyer, and I started in family law and litigation. I don't love dispute, so I went into commercial law, and that was a much better fit. But then slowly it moved from office to remote and I think remote was really that precursor of me rejecting that traditional aspect. But a lot of that job was still quite traditional team-based kind of work. And then starting my own firm has been just the end of that journey to do things how I want to do them, and to say no to work that I don't want to do because there's someone else that loves doing that. It's not that I can't do it or I'm not good at it, but there are people who love doing that. There's people I refer to, and I'm much happier doing other types of work.
Mm. And I know that you've got a growing team. So can you tell us about how big it is and what sort of the makeup is of roles?
We have a team of 4. We have myself, and we have an employed lawyer, and she's remote. She used to work with me at my last role and asked if we had something going, and we just happened to be at the right timing last year. And she works flexibly. She's got a young child, so she works flexibly, but spreads her flexible hours over the whole week, which is good for me and clients because it means she's there pretty much every day, just not all day. We also have my husband, who's halfway through a law degree. So he does a lot of paralegal work and a lot of admin work, which has been really freeing for me because I was doing not so much the paralegal work, but a lot of the admin work as well. And then we have a bookkeeper as well. And I think that was actually my first hire, a bookkeeper, because you just need to get those finances right and keep an eye on it.
Absolutely. And so how has that team sort of scaled up with you over your journey? Because I know you were by yourself for a while and then your team is growing. So can you kind of take us through that journey of how you kind of had made the decision and I suppose the courage to take on team members, because it's can be quite a worrying thing for a lot of law firm owners, I think.
It is. And I started with me, and about a year and a bit after that, I needed help. I tried my bookkeeper did some VA admin work as well, which was really helpful to bridge a gap. And then I tried sort of paralegal and law student help, and that was okay. But I did find, their focus wasn't necessarily on the team. They had other things going on, which is fair enough, but it's not really helpful to me. And it was around that time Leanne, our lawyer, came on, and I noticed the difference immediately. And she's actually probably quite a few years experience now, which is a relief for me. And I think I wouldn't be scared to pay that extra for that experienced lawyer now, because I think it comes back in bucket loads. I think we are all kind of getting the student or that kind of thing, but actually paying that extra just takes so much off your shoulders.
Yeah, and then you get somebody with batteries included.
Exactly. Yeah, they can just go. Whereas you're not because it's quite time consuming teaching someone over these. And I had actually taught her at my last role. So that was, I suppose, kind of a win-win because she already knows how I work. But yeah, so I actually, and then I've had various contractors, whether they be a paralegal doing some casual work, that kind of thing as well, just to bridge a gap in between. Okay, I need someone before taking that leap with a full-time employee.
Because you've contracted some senior lawyers as well along the way, haven't you?
Yeah, we've still got a wills and estates consultant there as well. So that's really handy. And I've also, if I know someone is non-competing in, for whatever reason, different area of law, then I really like to refer to them, but know that my client, they just do a niche. So I actually look for small boutique firms who do a niche. So they might just do family law, or they might just do something, because then I know that the clients will come back when they want their other things done, rather than going to a bigger organization and being swallowed up because they like that person and actually they'd like everything done in one spot. It's an interesting kind of strategy.
I thought it was really interesting how you've teamed up with a Kiwi lawyer to offer a more sort of, for businesses who are sort of operating across Australia and New Zealand, to provide more sort of intellectual property protection across both countries rather than just in Aussie. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and it's been great having Rachel's input there as well, because there are a lot of people go, especially in online business,
Mhm.
which there are a lot of people who do go across countries. And I think we just need to be really mindful of that and have those relationships with our colleagues overseas to allow for that.
Absolutely. So how do you spot those opportunities?
It sounds a bit woo-woo, but I will follow my intuition. I'll just know if it's a good fit. But it'll often be something will happen and I'll kind of think, oh, I need this, but I need this person. And then I'll just keep my eye out or ask around. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll always kind of know if I see someone, I like that. That person might be good to work with, or they're very me, because I've seen other people and if someone's going to fit in your firm culture. And I think that's really important, because if you're handing your client over to deal with someone else, you want them to have a similar experience to what they have with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, there needs to be a values alignment there for sure. So a couple of questions around numbers. Can you tell us about your firm's monthly revenue and how that has sort of grown over the last year or two?
So we've recently done our tax for the Australian financial year, and in the year previous, and we've grown our team during this year, so it was 170% increase on the year previous, which has been quite staggering. I don't know if we've kind of reached a plateau right now or what's going to happen. We're certainly teetering on the edge of needing another lawyer, but I'm pausing because I'd like to see how we can grow with that, improve systems within rather than just growing, because I feel like it's a really nice team level, and I think there's different ways to grow rather than just adding people.
For sure. And what about your profit margin?
Probably around about an average of about 30%.
Okay.
Depending on what's going on.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we have a lot of, because we run a virtual firm, we don't have a commercial office to lease. We pretty low expenses in terms of pretty lean operation. So that's something I think I can look at regularly with the figures and try and prune some subscriptions, keep things simple.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of your female entrepreneur clients or female business owners, so tell me a bit more about the types of female business owners that you like to help, because I know you've sort of niched again. So can you talk us through that?
I would say broadly online business, but that has come to mean a lot. I niched into that before March 2020, before COVID. That actually means something different then, I think, to now. I think a lot of people have jumped online. So some of them will be I like to help people who've been doing things service-wise, or just I like to help service providers who've been seeing people one-on-one only to see the possibilities of, say, digital products, digital courses, to see how they can help one-to-many. And that's been something in the last 6 or 12 months. We've been doing so many online courses, and not just online programs, masterminds, that kind of thing, all these terms for that. So I really enjoy that side of things in particular. But we've really been, and I've noticed too, I used to help a lot of startups, which we still do, although startups are tending to get our templates more. And I'm getting more, I'd say my niche is now, 3 to 5 years.
Right.
Operating the business, because we're doing some more complex, customized things.
And what sort of services do you offer, or do you do for those clients? Because you mentioned your templates and then the more done for you. So when you're doing the done for you stuff, what are you doing for them?
We're often doing it, and it's usually not just one thing, it's usually a whole suite of things. So they might be launching an online course and an online membership, but also launching digital products. So we'll do the whole lot of terms and conditions for them. And then we'll also look at business structures. We're doing a lot of collaboration agreements. If they're running, we might have two entrepreneurs joining together to put together a course. But then you've got to think about, well, how do they split the money? Who records what? Who does the work? Who owns that stuff when it's finished? How do they do that? So that's, I think as more people go online, that kind of stuff is there. So we don't do dispute work. Very much prevention is better than cure, helping people resolve things so it's less likely to come into a dispute. Also been doing a lot of online e-commerce terms and more complicated marketplace terms. So if someone is setting up a marketplace like eBay or Airbnb, if you think of that, they're bringing people together, hosting a website where they bring people together to meet, to transact. We're doing a lot of that kind of stuff too, terms. And that's something you'd never have a template for because it's quite customized and bespoke.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you, with the templates, sort of the DIY, I suppose, part of your offering, what sort of templates are you offering and who are you selling them to?
So we're actually we started out selling them to business owners, which we still do. So we have website terms, we have online course terms, membership terms, web developer agreements, a whole range of service agreements and things like that, resume writing. But we've actually found that we've had lawyers coming in to buy them.
Yes.
Well, and then white labeling them for that. They take them and then put them in a suite of work they're doing for their clients. So we're exploring at the moment access to them, whether it's an annual license or a 50% off code for lawyers because they're going to buy likely more than one. And that's been working quite well. And lawyers, I've authored for LexisNexis in the past. So I'm definitely familiar with putting together templates that lawyers use and read. So it's been a really good fit.
You can whip them up super fast.
Yeah. And lawyers, I think they like, because otherwise you look at somewhere like, some of the online sites are a bit dodgy. I've had in the past, I've sort of got a couple because I've needed something really specific and they're not good at all. And you start from scratch. So it's good to have a lawyer in that niche doing it. And particularly when you don't want to send your client off to me because they might stay with me, is what I was talking about before. But if you can then, and you don't have to necessarily pay, if you want to subscribe to one of the bigger templates, it might be thousands of dollars a year, which you don't need for a niche thing. So it's an interesting space.
And so what sort of lawyers buy the templates? Are they law firm owners? Are they lawyers who work for other people? Are they new lawyers, experienced? What sort?
Usually law firm owners, and they'll need them for their client. They don't necessarily do online course terms or a disclaimer for a certain area of online law, but they have a client, particularly at the moment, who's moving their business with an online component. So they can make sure that if their business gets shut down for COVID, they can still operate. So say you had a hairdresser client, you've done their lease, you bought their business for them, and then they get shut down for 6 weeks with COVID. They want an online shop to sell hair products, and you could buy our e-commerce terms and that would work really well. Right.
Interesting. And what's been the sort of the uptake? Are people finding them? How do they find them?
It's because they follow me on Instagram, usually.
Right. Yeah.
They know me or through social media or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We've sort of just been trialing it at the moment, just to see what the appetite is. And I imagine there are some lawyers who wouldn't get those questions, or there's some lawyers who go, I've got this, I'm just going to refer it across, which is fine. Our team's happy to do that too. But I think it's a good opportunity for lawyers to keep that work and still make quite a reasonable profit on it.
Yeah. And so for a template that you sell, like what's the price range?
We've got some Facebook group rules for $29 up to some sort of complex course terms around $600.
Right.
So it's really dependent on the complexity of it and the type.
Yeah. Awesome. And so with the more done for you services, do you offer them online? Are they online services?
We get so people can book in with me online. I talk to them on the phone or Zoom. We sort of chat by email, phone. So it all happens online.
Yeah.
But we do sort of do it traditionally, I suppose, in terms of we get their instructions, do their work, and that operates much like a traditional law firm was, but we generally don't see them in person. And I'm getting more, but I have very few local clients. My clients are all around Australia.
Yeah. So you sort of behind the scenes, you operate much like kind of most other law firms. But I imagine with some, knowing you, some pretty good systems and processes.
Yeah, that's right. We've got it down pretty well, and we've got Zapier sort of creating things to minimize things. We've automated internally as much as we can.
So you've mentioned Zapier. What other tech do you use in your law firm? Like, what are your favorite bits of software? Yeah,
so we use Zapier, we use ActiveCampaign, and probably the other one we had used Dubsado as for document management, and I never liked it. Other people swear by it. I know other lawyers that use it, but I actually didn't like it. So we moved to Matero a while ago, a few months ago, and that's been such a relief to have that. I think that was kind of the missing part of that puzzle. So that's been really good. And you can actually, we can code some things in there too. So just using that technology is really helpful. And I love Xero. Xero is probably my favorite.
Yeah. And so can you tell us a bit about what you use ActiveCampaign for?
We use that for our mailing list, and that's linked with Zapier. So if someone signs up to our mailing list on our website, it goes over, they go onto our mailing list in ActiveCampaign, and we send a fortnightly newsletter out. And it's a newsletter that we send out about sort of something that's an issue, usually linked to one of our templates or an issue we've experienced, just an information side of things, which is being really well received. I'll often get emails thanking us for our newsletter, which is quite, you don't really imagine that with newsletters, but that's been good. And we've actually outsourced that nearly a year ago now, and that was a game changer because I would always get too busy and it wouldn't go out fortnightly regularly, and that's been quite good. And we'll often get template sales after that, or a lot of people booking in for appointments.
Yes,
we sent one out last week about speaker agreements, and that was really well received, and not just about the nitty gritty, but also why you should be paid for speaking. And so there's a bit of that empowerment side of things in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. What about your growth strategy? So you've obviously had a lot of growth since you started the firm. What would be, like, if you could pick your top strategy or the most effective strategy that's led to that growth, what would it be?
I actually think organic growth through sharing valuable content on social media, in our email mailing list. I've tried Facebook ads in the past. I haven't got the right fit for that.
Mhm.
Google Ads is on our horizon, but we haven't tried that yet. So just that organic growth, just being yourself, being authentic. And now I find in those Facebook groups, a lot of my clients, they're happy and they tag me to tell people to come to see me. So I don't even have to do a lot in those groups now myself.
Right. So it's about getting into Facebook groups where your ideal client hangs out and adding value. Yeah, that's
exactly. And I find sharing a blog article or something is really good, rather than, oh, we do that, call me.
Yeah.
It's a bit
some
sleazy.
information. Yeah. Here's some valuable information. Have a read.
Here's what you need to think about. Happy to chat. Lots of good options here. But
yeah. And why do you think, because there's not a lot of lawyers that I'm aware of anyway that do the kind of the content marketing well. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a bit of fear that they're not going to be seen as serious, and that they've sort of got this ego that's there, and it's not, proper lawyers don't do that. But then the lawyers that do it, they talk about, I saw one yesterday, Section 90 of the Family Law Act says blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, well, who wants to read? Even I don't want to read that, and I'm a lawyer. So if I was a client experiencing separation, I wouldn't want to be sitting down reading about that. I'd want to know what outcome you could get me, that I'd be safe if I came to see you, that you'd look after me.
Yeah, it's interesting how we think of writing as one skill, but there's different areas of writing, legal writing, copywriting, and they're at the opposite ends of the spectrum. And we think because we're good at legal writing that we must be good at copywriting. But, copywriting is just such a specialized skill. So, And
to date, I've done my own copy, but we've actually in the process of getting some pages on our website rewritten by a copywriter. And I've spent yesterday going over the draft. I'm like, I don't write like that either. So it's really, even, I'd say I'm not bad at copy, but it's still, that skill is something, even I need to outsource as well. So don't be afraid to outsource things and even get tips to do it. You might even get a few tips or do a copywriting class, or there's quite a few good courses out there that would just get you thinking differently, thinking creatively.
Thinking about the benefits rather than the detail and the features and things like that. I agree. Doing a copywriting course is a great is a great way to kind of get thinking in that way, but I think it's best to outsource to a copywriter where you can.
Absolutely. Certainly for something like your website copy or a sales page or something that's quite big and seen by a lot of people.
And that needs to drive growth for your firm. Absolutely. What do you think is your biggest barrier to growing your law firm?
I don't think there are any true barriers. I could probably grow as big as I wanted to. I think my question is now, well, what do I want to do really purposefully? What will bring me profit and joy, not just one or the other? So I need to sit and pause. And at the moment, I can feel we're teetering on, we might need another person, but I'm just going to sit here and look at pricing and look at the template growth and what actually do I want to see. And we're in a really fortunate position. Our profit margin's quite good. Our costs are low. We can probably pull some of those levers before just blindly adding people. So I think the barrier will be, what is growth come at the expense of lifestyle, which is really interesting question. I have fibromyalgia, needing to not work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. So
how many hours and days do you work?
I do I've sort of cut down my days I take calls to 3 days now. I used to have 4 days, and then the other 2 days I'm in the office, but certainly on Fridays I try and finish by lunchtime, and I'll do more creative things. So I quite enjoy playing on Canva and doing marketing and things, and that will be actually a bit of enjoyment for me rather than on the tools.
And then final question is, if there was one thing that you could change about the legal industry, what would it be?
I think I would try and get rid of some of the ego that's out there, that sort of pompous behavior. I would just try and stamp it out, which I sort of like to do in my own maverick way.
Yeah. That is it, because I see a lot of tall poppy. Do they call it that in Australia, tall poppy syndrome?
Yeah, and we've got it quite, I think probably quite similar to New Zealand. We've got a lot of and in the States you see people have applauded a bit more, whereas in Australia, like, oh, they've won a lot of awards, or they're always on this, and you it's interesting to see that. But I'd also like, in law, I think we associate, say, working at a big firm or having that sort of academic credibility with very differently to, say, a smaller boutique firm. I work online. I'm doing things a bit differently. So I'd like to see an equal recognition in those big awards. So you go to those big awards shows and you will think, when we could go, the ceremonies, and you see big tables of those big firms. They've brought out a table or two, and if you go as a boutique firm, you're kind of on the rejects table at the back of the room with a few other random people. And it's kind of, you kind of go, hang on, actually we're just as good, but in a different, we're just different. Doesn't mean anyone's better or worse. And I'd sort of like to see that ego about BMWs and that kind of thing go, and just everyone can just be themselves.
I think we'll see that though, as the online space makes the law more and more accessible. I think that we will sort of we will begin to see that, and I certainly hope so.
I actually think COVID's been a great equalizer for that. You're seeing people at home with their pets and their kids when before they wouldn't have dreamed of it.
Yeah. Right, Emma, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much, and congrats on all your growth over the last year or two. It's been amazing to watch. For the people who are watching and listening, where can they find you online if they want to go and check you out?
I'm at www.theremotexpert.com, and also on Facebook and Instagram as The Remote Expert, and Emma Heuston with an E, not Houston, we have a problem, with an O, on LinkedIn.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I will catch up with you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
If there's anything these past months have shown us, it's that the time to make lasting, impactful change in the legal industry is right now. So I want to challenge you to shake things up and create change today. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this video with your lawyer friends. See you next week.